Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Your Football Show, and it's time for an impromptu stream. I'm frustrated. I'm venting my grievances over on Twitter, getting annoyed at people's responses. So I thought, do you know what? I am going to go live. Chris was one of them people that responded to me, and I went, right, Chris, do you want to come on a stream? And then Gaz messaged me, and I went, right, Gaz, jump on, because I just want to talk Leeds United. I want to talk shop. Before we do get into the particulars of this video, please smash a like, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course, hit that notification bell. But before we chat, let's just say hello. So, Gaz, we'll start with you. I haven't seen you for a couple of weeks. I think the last time you were here with JT and your head was burnt out naturally. That happens to me every week, bro. So, how are you doing?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Yeah, last time I was here was with JT, and that was an experience. But yeah, mate, I'm good. Yeah, I've been struck down with this winter bug thing that's going around and stuff. But I can't complain. All good. Premier League's back. Leeds are back. Yeah, everything's good.
Good. Dan Dobb says top lineup. I said, as I mentioned, JT, I see Chris got but Chris, how are you, brother? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Yeah, been busy with work this week, so just finished up for the week. Long weekend now, so yeah, all good, pal. Apart from the obvious.
Yeah, it's bad, isn't it? It's brutal. Let's get straight into it. Bring back talking shut, says Damar Facey. I do miss it myself. I can't lie to you. All stats aren't we? He's dropped off a little bit since John McKenzie's gone to TIFO as well. So I struggle for Leeds podcasts at the minute. It's only really square ball. So yeah, bring back talking shut. I'm on that as well. As is Mark Ride as well. I keep doing this, and you'll notice Peter Risdale's face there. The only reason I do that is because we'll start with this. Obviously, it's come out that Leeds United are close to a deal for Maximiliano Wöber. It's been reported that Leeds United or RB Salzburg are willing to structure a deal that will enable Leeds United to get this one over the line. And my response to that is skint. People say this is what happens at all football clubs, and I understand it, but it's just the way that it's been. I guess, look, I think we're skint is what I'm saying, right? We're structuring deals in certain ways, we're adding certain clauses, and it's just frustrating for me. And then the most boringest response is, do you want Risdale back? And it's really, really frustrating. It's like pulling teeth. It's like when you criticise Marsh and people say, oh, well, Bielsa were getting beat. It's like, can we not just have a conversation without, having that? So let's talk about the ownership at the minute. Gaz, is it just time for radz to shape up and do one and get someone new in? What's your thoughts?
My thoughts are a bit similar to yours, Joe, but not quite as angry, I think. Yeah. I mean, the frustration for me is that we've seen the article this week with radz saying that Leeds need someone else who can provide investment to take them to another level. But then he's obviously, I think Jesse came out in his press conference and said that radz had told him that was an old article. And the frustration for me is that this has been obvious for a while now, that he doesn't have the funding to take us forward, which is true. He's openly admitted that himself. Obviously, the 49ers enterprises are sitting in the background appearing to want to do a deal. But for some reason, it feels like for some reason, radz seems really reticent to get that over the line. I don't know if it's a little bit of his own ego to a degree or what, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's frustrating me. I sit on like the sensible side of my mind, and then also the other side, which is it's obvious what we need. He's admitted what we need. Why aren't we getting what we need? That's the frustrating bit. And why are we still on the face of things appearing to carry on like we are? Investment. We need some form of plan going forward. For me, after we finished 9th in Premier League, we've basically stood still and in some quarters gone backwards. We don't really know what the 49ers enterprises are bringing or have brought throughout all this carry on. No. I mean, again, we only have to go back through transfer windows where it's been obvious to layman fans like us guys that what the club needs and what it needs to sort of continue to move forward. Well, we fell short every window since that time. And that for me is the frustrating bit. Go back to a time when we we don't know who the owner is. I remember being a kid and, that time of not really caring about football ownership, but it's a reality in which we live in today. And, especially in the sort of sharp context of playing Newcastle at the weekend, it's no surprise that they fought us in a basement battle last year, and then they've had a large amount of investment, and look at them now. And yeah, it's just really, really frustrating. And he comes out and says all the right things, and comes out and says that if these things need to go forward, but where is it? Where's it happening? Again, we're at this point where we're in danger of a battle again.
Yeah,
that I feel like is avoidable. That's frustrating for me. It's unavoidable.
I agree with you, mate. Avoidable. It is avoidable, and I think what really grinds my goat, Chris, as well, and Angus is a big part of this in terms of pushing the Radrazani propaganda agenda kind of vibe that I feel that's going on at times. And I think some fans lap it up, and that's their prerogative, and that's totally fine. But what really frustrates me, as late, like Gaz says, sat in our rooms, whatever, doing this, we could have told you we needed a left back and striker, yet we were told we don't need a left back. We don't need a striker. We've got international number 9s. 6 months later, January, the club are now saying, yes, we need a striker and a left back. And we were like, well, we said that, and we were told in programme notes that we don't know what we're talking about, in effect. So that's another thing that really sticks with me. Look, Mark says, Joe, we're not skint, far from it. There is just a reluctance by the board to spend. It's as simple as that. Skint is Ridsdale era. Okay, then, however you want to frame it, like, this point still stands. The guy's not putting money in, right? He could be the richest man ever, and he's not putting money in. I'd frame it a different way then. But for me, as a fan watching it, Chris, it looks like we're skint.
Yeah, we're skint. Skint is the right term for it. The Ridsdale era, we're bankrupt. And that's very different. We're in a world of hurt here, and there's a potential that the club will no longer exist under Ridsdale. We're skint now. Look, we all laughed about Barcelona and the way Leeds had to bend over because it was the only place Rafinha wanted to go, and we had to structure the deal particularly to suit Barcelona so they could pay us. We're now Salzburg are now having to do that by the looks of it for us, so we can pay them over. We can't have it both ways. We can't go on Brocolona over there, can't afford one of our players, but now Salzburg are bending over for us so we can get one of theirs in the door. We're not skint for me, but the owner's not willing to put any more in. So now it is, I need to take maximum return on my investment. However, he's playing risk versus reward here. It's a dangerous game because Championship Leeds United next season, which is very much a thing at the minute, and his investment's absolutely on its arse. And the 49ers, for me, although I agree, I've got no idea what they offer or what they have offered up till now. It's the longest non-hostile takeover, I said to you, Joe, didn't I? The longest non-hostile takeover of anything, anywhere I've ever known. Feels like it's been going on since Radz walked in the door.
Yeah.
And it's just been, you know what, mate? Probably still within just Leeds circles at the minute, but I feel like we're becoming a bit of a laughing stock again. Because it's like, it's a Premier League club being run like a nation, or whatever it's called, nationwide league or whatever, Vanarama League.
Yeah, I hear it.
Called now. Do you know what I mean? It's being run poorly, mate.
Yeah.
Angus gets on my wick with his programme notes. Radz gets on my wick with his, pint of Pinot, sat on Twitter, writing absolute nonsense and liking tweets he just shouldn't like.
Yeah.
And Victor's Victor. You either love him or you hate him, and sometimes I'm a bit of both with him. Sometimes I could fall out with him massively, and then the next time I'm like, yeah, he gets it. So I flip on Victor a bit, but it's just all extremely frustrating, mate. And the worst thing we did, in hindsight, was finish 9th. The worst thing we did.
Yeah, probably,
because they went, oh, we're golden here. We're absolutely golden. Sign a couple of players, Europe next year, woo woo. And do you know what I mean? It's so naive. We saw what had happened with Sheffield United.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's poor, mate. It's poor management from the top of the club. It really is now. And that doesn't take away from what he did to get us here.
No.
90% of what he did to get us here was get the right man in the door to manage the team to the Premier League. It's one decision. There's been a lot of absolute honkers along the way as well.
Yeah, that's a great point, isn't it? Because I thought about it the other day when I seen that interview come up about him leaving, and I sat and pondered it and thought, do you know what? I am really grateful for everything he's done because we're back in the Premier League. And I almost went, oh, thanks, Radz, in my head. And then now, like, he's still here, and I'm like, no, fucking get out. You're doing me tits in. But I think you're right. Like, you don't bring the manager in, we're probably still languishing, aren't we? Let's be real here. We probably still are. But listen, we are in the Premier League. This talk of this is why else I say we're skint as well. Like, let's be real here. We had to move Dan James out of the door in order for us to bring in a kid in William Yonto. Of course, we tried to bring in Bamba Dieng. That didn't work off. You could argue maybe there's still funds around because Nonto would have cost nowhere near what Bamba Dieng was going to cost Leeds in terms of wages and transfer fees. So maybe some of that's surplus and he's just, sloshing around somewhere. I'm not too sure. But, this Maximiliano Wöber, we do need additions. But then straight away, I see in the comments, people are going, guys, oh, now that we get that left back / centre back, whatever he is, I think he's been brought in as a left back personally. People have then said, let's go get that striker. I have no confidence that we'll go get that striker. I think that's why as well, Gaz, there's been a lot of, and again, this is the conspiracy theorist in me, a lot of Mateo Joseph propaganda coming out from the football club because I believe they're going to say, well, Mateo's coming through. And that's what we'll start to hear because we've started to hear it from Rodrigo himself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's, and this is the thing. I mean, like, from my point of view, I'm realistic. I'm not expecting state-backed investment, but it feels to me over the last couple of transfer windows, it's just not been sensible investment. I mean, it was obvious in the summer that we were screaming out for another left back, for someone else, because struggling. I'm not sure if I personally don't think we'll see him at the levels that we saw him at before. I just don't think his body can keep it up anymore. And this is the more frustrating thing for me that. It doesn't seem to have a plan. There's no sort of structure. Like, as I said before, if we're sat here now saying we need this, the years gone by, we screamed out for a central midfielder for I don't know how long. Eventually we go and sign Tyler Adams and Mark Rocker, regardless of what you think of them, but they're actual central midfielders. And then the same problem switches again, where we desperately need a left back. We haven't gone and got one. We're asking Pascal Struijk to play as a left back. The system that Jesse wants to play relies heavily on his fullbacks. That must have struggled since he's coming out. That bit is obvious. The left-hand side, we're asking Pascal Struijk to suddenly become a attacking left back overnight, and he just isn't going to do it. Bamford. Everybody's had concerns over Bamford's health. Rodrigo scores in bursts. It's obvious that we've needed another striker. There's an admission there that we tried to sign Dieng. We flirted with Gakpo, whether that were propaganda or not. The obvious things are there. Why are we not doing it? Why are we not acting like a football club? I've seen a few people mentioning Brighton and stuff like that in the comments. It's a fair comparison. The difference is they've got their shit together when it comes to identifying targets and going out and getting targets. Yeah. Whereas it just doesn't feel like we have. And I know a lot of people will think that that's a slander at Orta, but ultimately, I don't really think it is. I think his hit rate is better than his dud rate, and don't get me wrong, he's had a fair few duds as well. But ultimately, he's taking Dad's credit cards at the supermarket. And if Dad's saying you've got £2.50 to spend, you've got £2.50 to spend. Yeah. If Dad's saying not unlimited because that's ridiculous, but if Dad's saying you've got 10 million, then he goes and cuts his cloth accordingly. Yeah. I'm just frustrated with it. And again, like I think both of you mentioned, straight away you get, and I don't enter debate on Twitter anymore. I don't use it for that at all, just because you can't have debate on that. But I've got to the point now where I'm absolutely forever thankful of what this hierarchy have done for us to get us back to the Premier League. But we are literally time every year on forward. And the frustrating bit for me is it's so blatantly obvious to all of us what we need. But yeah, Radz isn't going out and getting it. And that's the biggest question I've got to raise to him is, we need investment. That's much as obvious. You're a man who's known for gaining investment for businesses. Why haven't we done it? Why are we hanging around for 49ers Enterprise? What is actually going on? When you're in comments like from Phil A saying we're just waiting on the white smoke and stuff like that, what exactly is the holdup? Why are we not doing it? It's obvious that while ever we're not doing it, we're literally circling that plug, and we're like we're a couple of injuries away from dropping down that plug hole, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So why are we not doing it? What is the hold up? And do you know something? If they came out of the club and truthfully and told us it's because of this, that, and other, securing funds, whatever, then I'll take that. But at the minute, we're all just like stood here going, what's actually happening? What is actually happening? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, listen, I don't profess to be a financier, you know what I mean? But why not go get a couple of loans? Surely that's doable. Do you know what I mean? Just to bring in some personnel. I agree with you guys. Like, for me, you have a long-term injury to Adams or Rocker, you are up shit creek. Like, genuinely. Like, centre midfield is a worry. You know, left back, a worry. But okay, Stroud can play there. God forbid Dallas being back before end of January, because then we'll definitely not be getting any further additions, because it'll be like, don't worry, we've got Dallas, you can play in goal if needed. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
The tweet.
Tweet incoming, yeah, Dallas. Yeah, it's, I don't know. Do you have any confidence, Chris, that, you know, it looks like we will get Wöber. I think the fact that the links are coming from people who, you know, normally get them bob on, like, you know, the likes of Romano, and that I know people say he's a tapping merchant, all that sort of, I hear it, but you normally get, if he's tapping them in, it's because they're close to being done. Do you think we'll get anyone additional other than Wöber, or do you think, because I've just been on a Newcastle channel, this chat of Jack Harrison, is there a chance that we maybe finance deals by moving Jack on?
Yeah, I said the other night on my post-match.
I watched it, yeah.
I think someone said it in the comments that Jack didn't play a minute. Is he on his way out? And I was like, I thought he was carrying a bit of an injury or he wasn't fit. But the more I'm hearing now, and there's no in the know crap here, it's just complete speculation. I'm wondering if Jack Harrison is on the way out to maybe free up some more funds and a bit of room in the wage bill for someone else. And I won't be overly sad about it. And I really like Jack Harrison, but he does blow hot and cold as a player. And I think we've got young kids coming through there, and Cine when he's fit. We've got options on that left-hand side. So if it's going to free up to strengthen, you know, left back, centre back, it's not going to be enough money to go out and pump for a striker as well.
No.
But it might allow us to further strengthen the defence. We do need another midfielder with you. I agree, at least one. It just feels like we're always reactive and not proactive at this football club with transfers. It's just, there's no foresight at all. And I just feel like we're the club that's, you know, we tried United, that's us. You know what I mean? Or we were preparing a deal, United. Liverpool just went out and did it. And I'm not talking about throwing the same amount of money around, but behind the scenes, they just went and did the deal. No, we're preparing a deal, we're doing this, we're doing that. Get the money on the table and do it. And if they say no, move on.
Yeah.
But it just seems that we prat around until deadline day, and then, you know, the tweet comes out, and then, you know, we'll sell Tyler Adams for £4 or something.
You're right. You're right, though. Like, it was embarrassing how quick that Liverpool deal got done. And I think they've only paid 37 million for him, rising up to 50. And I see that. And I know we ain't got loads of money, but I think, like, we could have got him surely a lot cheaper than that in the summer. So, like, how can we not get the funds together to finance that deal? Like, I don't, even if we'd have paid 30, I still think that surely, because listen, however, again, I'm not a financier, but we've spent nothing. Like, we had zero net spend. The players that were brought in, were sold, you know, financed the players that we brought in. I found it quite, like, alarming the other day when Phil Hay did his article. And in the last 3 January windows, we've spent a grand total of £1 million. I think that's embarrassing for a Premier League club. Regardless of, you know, people will say, well, do you want to be like Rizdale? No, I don't think it's anywhere close when it's only £1 million you've spent over 3 seasons in January. I don't think that's anywhere close to Rizdale levels. And that's the point I'm trying to make. It's just a quick, easy throw, you know, throw out there from fans. I don't think it's really a discussion point. But guys, what say you? I know you may be a little bit more positive on the Leeds United front than myself currently, but do you see there being an extra addition over Wöber, or will that be our lot?
My honest opinion is that we will probably have a go. It'll be one of them that will be a risk, and we won't proceed from it, because that appears to be our sort of MO, where we're shopping in a tight budget, and to do that we have to take a bit of a risk. So Dieng, for example, came completely out of the blue. We moved on it, and then obviously French team who went for him as well moved on it. Nice went for it, and it didn't happen. But that appears to be like our sort of MO, and I've no doubt. I think we will certainly make some noises, like we're trying to make deals sort of towards the end of the window. Do I think we'll get them over the line? No, simply because I feel like we're financially can't. So, much like both you guys have said, the frustration is around that we're not proactive. Like Chris said, he hits the nail on the head. We're incredibly reactive, and we still have this attitude, probably over from the Bielsa era, of we'll make do, we'll play an embryo at left back if Pascal gets injured, or we'll bring some child through and they'll play up front. And I mean, Matteo Joseph, Sonny Perkins, phenomenal talents. The levels are just ridiculous. Like the level step up from 21s to look at Joffrey, prime example. He's struggling for me at the minute. He was much better against Monaco, but prior to that, he's struggling. And and he's meant to be the next sort of golden boy, and that's because the step up is so big.
Yeah,
to then just pile it all out. Oh, Bamford's twisted another toenail. We'll bring Matteo Joseph through. To be honest, it's doing a disservice to the lad.
Yeah.
Because these guys need time to develop. They need time to. I mean, we see it now with Joffrey. For you guys, where does Joffrey play? What is his best position?
I'm worrying about him, guys. Like, I genuinely,
I am.
I worry about him. I worry about. I'm not sure Jesse favours him as much as the previous manager, maybe. Although he didn't play him much either. It was quite interesting. I think Greenwood has overtaken him in the pecking order. Somerville overtaken him in the pecking order, and I do worry, where does Joffrey go? If Jesse's still here in a season's time, and I don't think he will be, but is Joffrey then handling for a move? Is he saying, listen, go on, mate?
But again, mate, what I come back to then is that on Joffrey? Like it's almost like we've talked him up as the next successor to the throne. We have to put him somewhere. So is this next big thing that's going to happen? So we can't play him up front because we've got Rodrigo, who's we've got Bamford, who's going to be fit sometime this side of 2044, and so we've got to fit Joffrey in somewhere. So we'll play him in a 10, and we'll play him coming off the right, and we'll play him odd time through middle. The point of now that the lad's going to be like, well, where is my best position?
Yeah.
And I feel like, again, this is a prime example of a little bit of short-sightedness where we'll just make do, and ultimately I feel like we're hindering the players when we're taking that approach.
And this is the thing for me, Gaz. You mentioned that people were saying Brighton earlier, about how they recruit. Let's look at the Ben White model of developing a player. Go out to League One for a season, go to the Championship for a season, back to Brighton, and all of a sudden Arsenal are knocking with 50 million quid. Yeah. We're letting these kids who are on the cusp of the first team, but too good for the 21s, because we haven't got a big enough squad to let them keep playing in the 21s for another season. And we're wasting him because he's sat on the bench and he's getting 10 minutes here and there. And, the next big talent could be the next big waste at the minute, because... So for me, if he's only going to get 10 minutes a game, get the kid in the Championship for a season and let him go bang goals in for fun for someone, and then come back a more developed player, which by that point, Bamford will have broke his third fingernail or whatever, and will be officially done. And Joffrey then, Rodrigo's getting to a point then where time's up, sunshine. And Joffrey comes in full of confidence, had a good season in the Championship, and off he goes. But at the minute, we're just wasting the kid, and he's not the only one. He's not the only one.
The thing is as well, exactly what Chris says, going back to Bamford, would we be in this position with Bamford if we didn't keep having to rush him back every time because we're desperate for him? Would we be in this position with him? This is the thing. Like, I get it. I get to a degree that we're still a new Premier League club. We have to cut our cloth accordingly, but we appear to be going about it the wrong way. I said to somebody a bit ago, I think the biggest issue that we've got at the minute is that too many people who hold the keys are not football people. My opinion is. I mean, you know, I've interviewed Angus and he speaks really well, but ultimately, he's sort of West Ham moving grounds, he's sort of Arsenal moving grounds, and here we find him at Leeds now. radz has never had anything to do with football apart from being a fan prior to that. These guys are holding the keys. These guys are making footballing decisions. These are the ones who are talking down to us in the programme, saying we don't need to sign a striker because Matteo Joseph's younger brother, Dave Joseph, we're going to sign him and he's going to come through and he's going to be amazing. These are the frustrations, and I say that flippantly. And you know, I'll be forever grateful and what they've achieved. But these are the things that mean that we just go backwards. And relegation for this club would be catastrophic, in my opinion. Catastrophic, because we're talking a Stoke type event, in my opinion, where we go down to the Championship and we basically don't come back up again because we're not set up to survive it.
No.
So why are we running the risk every single year? It feels like since that 9th place finish, why are we running the risk of going down by what feels like just a few simple signings?
Yeah, no, exactly. And you know what? Like you're bang on in terms of you know, looking at Brighton and even Brentford. Man, this is what I'm saying. They get it bob on like that. Obviously, Moses Caicedo. Yeah, I've just had a look there because I know he's obviously been linked with the move to Liverpool. They pay $5 million for him. He plays 20 games, maybe not up to speed. They loan him out to Beerschot over in Belgium. Comes back this season. He's phenomenal. Now Liverpool want him for 70 million. Leeds United are even in a position where we can go, do you know what? If Furpamp worked out, let's loan him out somewhere and then see if he can do it and then bring him back. Do you know what I mean? Though, like that's what they've done with Caicedo at that point. And just like you say, Cucurella, now they've got Estepina. Like the mad thing is, I've noticed at Chelsea, they've signed like 3 players and I don't know any of them. And a lot of that is due to the fact that they've took Potter and they've also took the recruitment guy from Brighton. And now they're getting all the players that Brighton were linked to. They've just bought the Fofana kid from a team from somewhere. And it's like, that's the model you need, you know, but Brentford are exceptional at it. And listen, I agree with Gaz in terms of on Victor Orta. I do. I really, really like Victor and stand by the point that he's given a remit. He's given a remit. This is the money you've got. You make that happen. You can't tell me Orta went over to Holland to thrash out a deal for Eindhoven. If he had the money, he would have got that deal done there and then. He spent 24 hours over there or whatever. Ultimately, he's not the one financing the deal, unfortunately. You know, radz is the one that's saying, oh, no, we're not willing to pay that up front. Can you try it this way? Try it that way. Do you know what I mean? And we look like idiots, you know? Look, I think for me, and it's more so now because I guess in a way I had blinkered viewing of Leeds United and some of the personnel we had due to the previous manager. I now see it for what it is. A lot of them are not fit for purpose. Whether or not that's because we haven't really progressed. Listen, I thought Forshaw was good the other night, so I feel bad using this as an example, but 3 seasons into the Premier League, an injury to one of your centre midfielders should not be being replaced with Adam Forshaw. For me, not 3 seasons into a Premier League or 4, whatever it is, he shouldn't be the one to, replace him, especially when you consider the injuries he's had. You know, Gaz mentioned about Bamford. This what makes it even more frustrating for me when we hear the condescending tone in the programme notes is when we find out later from Jesse and Bamford himself that he trained 4 times last season. And you think you're peddling this, saying we've got an international striker, and you know behind the scenes, before any of us knew, that the guy hasn't trained. The guy's been having to manage, and you try to tell us we've got an international striker. You know he's broken, fix it. But they won't. Now, obviously, we're in this state of flux. Like, I genuinely, at this point, as a fan, where my head is like, it's almost like Championship manager. It's like, I want to get to the end of the season so that the ownership can be dealt with and then go again. Like, that's where I feel, you know, like, because, and I just think between now and the end of the season, it's going to be clinging on. I think we're in trouble, personally. Chris, I don't know your thoughts, because I've looked at it and I keep analysing it, and I think Forest and Southampton are goners. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I think Nathan Jones, not the best appointment. The personnel at Southampton's not good enough. They brought in too much youth. And then Forest, I think, I was speaking to a Forest fan yesterday. He thinks they're going to be a bit like Norwich. They go down, come straight back up kind of vibe, and eventually build. They'll probably throw more money at it, but it's not the right thing, I don't think. And then there's one more spot up for grabs, and that's us, that's Everton, that's maybe Bournemouth. And we're in trouble, Chris, I think.
Oh, mate, I said it the other night that if we don't do some seriously good strengthening in this window, I do tip us to be that third team to go down. I do. Because, you know, there's now whisperings Everton are making moves. I mean, until they get rid of the manager, they're always going to be in danger. But I don't think he's too far away from getting the boot at Everton and then bringing in someone who can actually do a job. You know, Bournemouth are hit and miss, and we're hit and miss. And I genuinely think if we only sign Wöber in this window, I think I would stick my neck on the line. And obviously looking at what other teams do in the market, I think I would stick my neck on the block and say, I think we're going down. I genuinely think that.
Do you see and this might be mad, but do you see a way we can stem that by a change of manager? And I'm going to mention this because I'm advocating a change in manager because I don't rate him. But do you see that, or do we have to just go with it? Do you think maybe the 49ers are more in tune with that Jesse appointment about what they'd like to do moving forward as well? Like, do they stay with him, kind of?
I think whether we like him or not now, we're stuck with him for probably the rest of the season, because I think all the eggs have been thrown into one basket now, and it's a case of let's see if it works. And you know, it just baffles me. I don't think a change of manager would save us. I mean, you never know, right? You never know. But who could we feasibly bring in? And there's a name I've been banning who's now, you know, won 7 in 8 at West Brom as their new manager, who should have followed Bielsa and it been a proper succession plan, yes, which is what I was always calling for. But, you know, it is what it is. And I don't think we've got the tools to do what we need to do. Between the manager, the board and the playing staff, I think it's an absolute horror show at the minute.
Yeah,
and it's just a bit depressing, really, isn't it? And it's been poor for a season and a half now. Yeah,
it has. Yeah. I was speaking to someone the other day, and we were chatting about YouTube actually. And he said, "No, it's great. Leeds are back, you know, from a YouTube perspective and that." But he went, on the other side, it's shit because we're terrible. Like, it's so depressing. Like, everyone keeps saying to me, like, "Come on, Joe, you've got to be positive." And I'm like, there was a time when I was, but at the minute, guys, I just like, we'll move it on slightly from the board. We were chatting about it off air. Do you think we have progressed since the change in manager, guys? Like, I've been advocating, I'd rather get slapped 7-0 and have a go than get beat 3-1 and just look devoid of any ideas. That's where my head's at, because we're losing regardless. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's tough one. I think it's easy to look back a little bit now towards the end of Bielsa's tenure and for everybody to scream for Bielsa coming back. Let's not put too much of a roast into glass. It ended terribly badly with Marcelo. We were shipping goals for fun, and not all of that is Marcelo's fault, may I add. Some of that is going back to what we talked about earlier in terms of the reactive nature of strengthening sides and things like that. So again, I'm not by any means piling it on there, but I also feel a little bit for Jesse. Yes, the tactics and the end of last season, early part of this season, a little bit to be desired. What's been blatantly obvious from the games in which we've got beat are the gaps that are in the system that are easily exploitable. We've all seen them. The last game against City and in the mid-season friendlies, we've seen him go to a 4-3-3 to try and address that. But ultimately, again, I go back and I think he still is fighting with one hand tied behind his back. He's still having to play centre back at left backs. We haven't strengthened. He's still trying to like pin his hopes on the Great White Knight of Bamford coming back and being able to score as the goals that keep us up. That type of stuff. And again, I just feel like yes, he's got some flaws in his tactical approach, and I agree 100%. But again, we could bring the next manager in, and he could have the same flaws because the people above him are not supporting him in addressing the problems, which are the playing squad's too weak, too wafer thin.
Yeah.
You know, it's
exactly
so frustrating.
That's exactly where I am as well. I'm bang on with guys. I feel almost sorry for Jesse. Don't get me wrong, some weeks I'm completely frustrated with him when those cross-field balls go in and the left or right winger's got 3.5 acres of field to play in. But I do feel like, I agree, guys, he's fighting with one arm tied behind his back, and that problem stems from the top. And it's like any business, right? If the stuff's not right at the top of the business, it filters down through the ranks. And that's what we're seeing at Leeds at the minute.
Yeah. No, I agree. And look, I do think that I am overly harsh on Jesse because you know why, right? You know,
because he's not Argentinian from Rosario. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly, right? Hey, do you know what? I've sat pondered. You know, when everyone goes, it's not Bielsa United, it's Leeds United. These last few days, I've been thinking, I wonder if I could set up Bielsa United. It's been that rough for me in here because, football. Anyway, but no, he has been sold a dud hand, and I think he has to take some of the blame for that. And the reason I say that is he went from saying any manager would like new players, we need a left back and a striker, to now towing the company line. Because that's what he's doing. You know, he's gone in a press conference and said, oh, I'm never speaking about it. And I put that on social media, and then everyone goes, oh, you know, the funniest thing is when I'm glad he is, because that means people won't know what deals we're doing. I'm like, do you really think scouts are watching Jesse's press conference going, oh, he's mentioned a player, let's quickly go scout him and sign him up? Like, it's idiocy. Like, it's mad to think that goes on. But maybe that's naivety from me. I don't know. But what I'm saying is Jesse's definitely towing that company line now. And it's frustrating. You know, he went from saying we need players, right, to Radz's meeting. And then he went, well, we have Rodrigo, we have James, we also have Strauch who can play left back. And I'm going, oh my God, what's going on? And it's continued, man. It's continued.
Yeah. He's getting dragged in the boss's office after saying stuff that he shouldn't say in press conferences, and then very quickly correcting them. And do you know what? I think this is where you want someone like a Marcelo Bielsa at Lazio, when he walked in the door, didn't get what he wanted, and went, right, ram it, then I'm off. You need people like that to front them up. If you're just going to be a yes man, guess what? You're going to get walked all over.
Yeah.
And I do feel like it certainly looks from the outside looking in like Jesse's being a bit of a yes man. And you can't call your boss out constantly. Of course you can't.
No, of course.
You've got to play a clever game with it. But yeah, just bending over and taking it all the time, and they're just like, just leave him to it, because he will end up being the fall guy at the end of the day.
Yeah. 100%. Like, I have this horrible notion in my head, right, that Jesse stays until end of January, and if he don't get results, they'll sack him, they'll bring someone else in, and they can't spend it. Do you know what I mean? Because it's February. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, you bastard.
That would be the most Leeds United thing.
Yes.
But again, like we talked about earlier, this is what brings back the frustration, that it is so obvious that Jesse's life is made easier with sensible investment and sensible recruitment, and yet we can't seem to do it. That is the frustrating bit. And like, I want to just make myself clear. I don't want people to get it twisted. I'm not wanting some Arab state to come and make us multi-bazillionaires like Newcastle. But the signings are out there. There's players out there who can do jobs for us. Why are we not signing them? You know, we talked about De Ketelaere in summer. Everything about De Ketelaere. Let's be honest. De Ketelaere was all about the sell-on value. That's all it was about.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. They would have absolutely dished out the money to get De Ketelaere in through the door, purely about selling him on.
100%.
All it was about. Is a business signing. It was not that was a business signing that improved the playing squad by proxy. This is what frustrates me. We've needed a left back. We've needed a striker. In previous windows, we've needed a central midfielder. Why does it take us so long to do this? And it's hard, really, to judge Jesse on his finer points of management when he's having to play people, at left back or not left backs, and again, like I said before, Marcelo had a similar thing, and they pinned it on Marcelo, hung it around his neck that he likes to develop players and play them in different positions. Let's be honest, because it's a necessity that he had to do that. Because yet again, we're not proactive. It's been obvious that we needed someone to back Firpo up, or just somebody who can kick the ball with the left foot and hang around roughly at the left-hand side of the field, like the defence bit. That'd be amazing. For literally years, and here we are now with Firpo, who can't stay fit. When he is fit, he looks so far off it. This is the frustration for me. It's so obvious that we need to get what we need to get done.
Yeah, and you make the because it's not even just at first team level. It seems like we don't have a left back all the way out throughout.
We don't have a senior left back.
Well, it's mad. It's mad. It is insane, and it's mad, isn't it? You know, when you. Yeah, it's so frustrating. I can't lie. Let me just quickly get some super chats in. Helen, thank you very much for. I mean, you didn't put a chat in, so if you want to put a chat in after, I'll get that up. Thank you as well, Graham, for the super sticker. Smith Elvis says, "Viva Marcelo Bielsa, keep up the great work." I'd have him back in a heartbeat, bro. Don't worry about that. I would. I was ready to go to Bournemouth when I found out he was going there, but there you go. I kid, of course. I kid, man. I'm joking. I think. But I think, you've hit the nail on the head, obviously. I think as well what I found quite interesting in the most recent press conference, because I do like reaction video to it. I remember Jesse in the early stages saying, every manager would like players, etc. And then in the most recent press conference, he said, I think it was Pep Guardiola who said you only need 18 players or 21 when you're in Europe. And I'm going, They've got in here. You've gone from saying every manager wants more players to now saying, trying to, I guess, put across this thing that, well, Pep said it, so we should all be okay with it, that you only need 18 players because you've got to keep everyone happy. These were the same issues that we were told were all Bielsa's fault. Well, I hope people realise now it wasn't him. It isn't Jesse. It's them above. You know what I mean? It is them above.
You know what? We would be all right if we had 18 of Pep's players.
Yeah, well, true.
Absolutely fine.
Yeah. No, you're right, man. You're right. I just don't know. Let's talk a little bit about tomorrow. Chris, can we get? I think we're getting beat. I think for me now, St James's Park's probably the toughest place to go in English football, just with the form they're in, the atmosphere that's been generated there. I don't see us getting a result tomorrow.
I mean, for me, St James is a bit of a strange one. So the form guide says we're getting beat, and if I sit here now, I think we're probably going to lose. But I think with the stage Newcastle are at in their development and their progression, I think they're still very capable of a slip up. All I'm hoping is we're that slip up along this crest of a wave that they're riding at the minute. Yeah. And I've got nothing but admiration for Newcastle, because what I like is, as much as I've now got $3 bazillion, whatever it is, they haven't gone absolutely mental like people were expecting. I think someone said online the other day they're at the Adebayor and someone else stage that Man City were at years ago, and they were only third in the league. And I'd like Newcastle for the way they've gone about business, whether we agree around the ethics of it or not and who owns them. But my head says we get beat. My heart says we might steal a draw or something. So hopefully we get something.
Yeah, hopefully. No, never am I. I think we struggle in the next two, to be honest, and then we've got to go to Villa Park. West Ham are getting beat at the minute, 2-0 by Brentford at home as well. But trust me, when Leeds United come to town, we'll gift them 3 points. But Gaz, tomorrow, Newcastle, are you going, first of all? Are you positive at all?
No, not going. I had some tickets, but unfortunately the wife holds the cards because we're going out and we wouldn't got back in time. So she won. She won the first battle of tomorrow. Do you know what? I think we beat them tomorrow. Purely on the fact of what Chris said, that they're at that point where they're knocking on the door. they're still going to have their moments and their slip-ups. And I feel like tomorrow we could possibly get at them. They're giving it a tight game, but I think possibly tomorrow we could get at them. And I think we could probably go up there and nick some, if I'm honest. That might be me just trying to be really hopeful. Yeah, I don't know. I've just got a weird feeling that I feel like we could get some up there tomorrow because we're not expected to. And that seems to be the way it goes with Marsh at the minute. When we're not expected to get some, we get some. So that's basically all I'm hoping. I'm not expecting some sort of tactical masterclass or, I don't know, the reincarnation of a left back of playing at left back. But I just get a feeling that we get some up there tomorrow.
Yeah, Look, we are unbeaten in the last 3 at St James's. I will say that, drawing 2 and winning 1, so that's something. So it's mad, isn't it? When you, like, say, I've just done a Newcastle podcast, and it's that sliding doors moment when Shelvey scored that goal at Ellen Road when they were at bottom at table. I think the guy said, a stat guy came on and said they've got 72 points since that time, which is more than double than what we've got. And they actually were 10 points behind us when they won that game. And it's just like, wow.
Do you know something though, Joe? Sorry, just to jump in there. Do you know what's even more frustrating about all this? I'm going to try not to swear. Is we shouldn't have lost that game.
No, we were better than them.
Lost that game. This is what's so frustrating about it. We shouldn't have lost that game.
And the goal by Shelvey was so rubbish, wasn't it? Like a crappy free kick, if I remember. Like, was it free kick?
Mate, I think I was sat near where you've got your season ticket. And I could see, I was directly behind it, and I was like, how's that gone in?
Yeah.
Look at it now. Just look at it now.
Yeah. Mad. Let me get your opinion on this, because I've not had a chance to speak to you both about this, and the Smiths Elvis put it in earlier. Thoughts on the contract extension for Llorente? I found it really, for me, like, there's this notion now, right? And I don't know where they're getting this from, but the angle the club are coming out with is that they expect centre-backs transfer fees to suddenly rise over the next few seasons. I'm like, where are they getting this from? Like, what?
Mate, and again, business decision.
Yeah, true.
Decision.
Yeah.
A way of us bringing funds into the club is not good enough.
No, true.
He's not good enough. He's not a Premier League centre back.
No,
to be honest, I very seldom dig players out, but he's an absolute bomb scare. Yeah. My lad's a budding centre half, and I talk to him all the time about don't go with your wrong leg, look at your body positioning, don't come charging out of the line expecting to get the ball, get absolutely nowhere near it, and leave a massive gap in behind. He's the perfect foil for showing a kid how to not defend.
It's you know what it was for me with the Llorente, the contract extension was like they released this great news that we've all been wanting of Pascal signing on, and it's just like they like to go, but here, have this absolute shit sandwich. It's like sandwich.
I don't think I've ever seen reaction as negative for a player signing a deal like as that, like 95%. And then people are telling me, it's to protect his value. And I'm like going, who's buying Diego Llorente? But it sounds, I listened to Inside Ellen Road podcast, and it sounded like the club started this before the World Cup because they thought Diego Llorente was going to go, therefore perform well, and then be sold. Like, at which point didn't they just go, well, he didn't go to World Cup, let's just pull out? Why have they progressed with it? Because we're now keeping this guy till he's 33. Like, why? I believe he'll be one of them in a few years, well, in a year's time when we're thinking we're still paying him. Like, why is he still at the football club? Do you know what I mean? And I think Matt's right. Wout Fess is better, and he's just scored 2 own goals for Leicester against Liverpool, and I'd still rather take Wout Fess over Diego for sure.
It's the best description of him I've heard from guys. He is an absolute bomb scare of a central defender. Every time he goes near the ball, I'm just like, well, here we go. And I'm not gonna lie, the other 2 at the minute that also playing there aren't much better.
No, I don't. I listened to Jesse's embargoed presser, and he's saying that he's made players better since he's been at the football club. And he used Robin Koch, and he said Robin Koch's playing the best football of his career. And I'm like, no, the list goes on, bro. There was Robin Koch, Sam Greenwood, Somerville, fair, Rodrigo, who else? Greenwood, I've mentioned him. There was a list of about 5 or 6 players where he said he'd made them better. But I don't see Robin Koch. I don't see
for me
what everyone's seeing.
We're seeing a better Rodrigo because he's playing in the position he was bought to play in. Whether he blows hot and cold or not, he's playing as a striker now, which is what he always was when he was coming. Sam Greenwood, fair one, but that just development because of his age. So, you know, he's getting more exposure to the first team. He's getting better, same as Chris Somerville. Robin Koch hardly played for a while, then played out of position and had to play CDM along with, I think, everyone apart from Bamford played CDM at one point. And we were playing that single pivot. Is he playing? If that's the best football of his career, why is he not in the Germany squad? Because he's certainly been in the squad now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so I call out Radz and everyone else for making nonsense comments. So Jesse deserves calling out as well because that's absolute pump. Is that just wind your neck in with crap like that?
Yeah. No, I haven't. Someone's just said, "Have you seen the Lewis Bate comments?" I haven't. Please, I'm gonna have to quickly check them.
Google it.
I'm gonna check this now, Gaz. I'm genuinely of the thinking that we lose tomorrow, we lose against West Ham, and the last 2 games against Villa away and Brentford at home to save Jesse's job. What are your thoughts on that? Or do you agree with Chris what he said earlier that whatever happens is here till end of season?
Yeah, I'm with Chris. I think we're too invested now, and I think Wöber's another one that he's a Marsh signing. From what I've heard today, Marsh has already spoke to him, sold the dream to him. And to be honest, a few people jumping in with the Leeds United Red Bull and all that, but if Marsh wants to play a particular way, it makes sense to bring in players who can play that way. So I'm not totally against the signing, May. I'm not being negative about it, but we are invested in it now. The team are structured to play a particular way, and yeah, I think we've got Marsh come hell or high water until end of season, because I think if he was going to get the bullet, it had been a fair few weeks ago when he could have got the bullet, and possibly was the ideal time to give him the bullet because could have brought a manager in for the mid-season warm weather anti-climax camp thing that we had, and it's never happened. And yeah, I think we've got, and again, I don't want to be ultra negative on the guy because I do still feel like he's got one arm time behind his back. Yeah, he's probably been a bit naive in certain ways, thinking that he can play a particular way in the Premier League. Yeah. But at times when he's got us going, we've played really well, and I can't really fault that. It's just the problem is it's just so few and far between when them performances turn out, and ultimately it's all right coming away from Arsenal at Ellen Road saying, "Oh, we had a fantastic game." We still lost the game, so irrelevant really of how well we play.
And this is what I was getting at earlier on Twitter, Joe, about there is the odd good performance where we go, all right, we can see what we're trying to do there. Yeah, that works. Yeah. But the second Premier League season under Marcelo felt the same. It was like we had one good performance every 6 games and then we get absolutely slapped all over the shop. Or even if we didn't get slapped, the performances were at the same level. Mm-hmm. And that, again, and we're revolving right back around to the same conversation. Because this squad's not been progressed enough and improved enough. And that's what it comes down to. Every footballer I've ever heard talk about new players coming in says, it's always nice to see fresh faces. It makes you raise your level. Yeah. You know, the worst thing you want to be as a footballer is completely 100% sure that week in, week out, no matter how you perform, you're going to start the next game. And there was a core of players because the squad was so thin that knew, it's all right, I'll play again next week and I'll have a chance to rectify it next week. And
that's a great point, isn't it?
So it all circles back, no matter which way we look at this and what we discuss, it circles back to the board and then being tight-fisted.
Yeah, 100%. So Giles said here, let's face it, we're all depressed, but this is great therapy. I needed it myself. I do feel a little bit better, Sajal. I can't lie to you. He says, thank you, Joe and friends. Gaz and Chris, thank you both. I'm going on holiday tomorrow and I hope I get a surprise when I land in India. So do I, mate. I hope you get a surprise as well. Yeah, let's hope. Graham Smith has tweeted to say Wöber is going to be the left-back signing. I don't know when he's tweeted that. I'll just have a quick look. But go on, Gaz.
Joe, can I just jump in on this one?
Yeah. You sent me all the deets, actually, bro.
I did, mate. I did, because I'm that saddened. Now I don't have a podcast because I now just go deep on any player that we get linked with, like to the furthest degree. And from what I can see, I know Phil said to the contrary, but from what I can see, Wöber started as a left back at Rapid Vienna, and then got the move to Ajax, and then got the move from Ajax to
Sevilla.
For me, from what I can see, and the heat map that I sent you, and all that type of stuff, he appears to have played more as a left back than as a left central defender, from what I can see. And I'm a pleb from Barnsley, fine, but this idea that it's suddenly a negative signing, I just want to cast people's mind back to when we signed a certain long-haired ponytail wearer who was getting binned by Bristol City because he was playing as a right-hand-sided centre-back from a back three. And he's gone on to be arguably one of our most consistent performers through the times when we got promoted to the Premier League. People need to stop being sad on it based on the fact that one newspaper article says that he plays as a centre-back.
Yeah.
For me, he plays as a left back from what I've seen. The assist against Chelsea, left back. I'm struggling to see how people can be negative. The fact that we're playing someone who plays as a left back, an actual left-footed player who plays as a left back.
Yeah.
Struggling.
Kick a ball.
And can actually kick the football without hurting themselves.
I wish I could share that video you sent of the assist in the Champions League for against Chelsea. Like, as good as Pascal is, and I really rate him, you're not getting that from Pascal. He's not whipping that ball.
With Pascal, what you get is he gets into good areas because he's been drilled to be his positional sense. But it's when he gets there, he's like, shit, I'm not used to this because I'm a centre back. Safe ball, retain possession. Doesn't put the ball in, and that is absolutely no fault of his own. He's been asked to play out of position. This kid appears to play that position.
Yeah.
You're going through him there, Joe. You're going through the heat map there.
Yeah,
he's a left-sided defender for me.
You can see it. Yeah, he's left-sided, 100%. You can see that, and you can see the moments where maybe he's playing more of a central role, but also playing at left back as well. And then, like this season, for example, it's all down the left. And I think he's played 15 times for Austria, and they have all been down the left as well. So,
mate, the same people slagging him are the same people wanting Ben White back, who's playing right back for Arsenal.
Yes. That's a great shout, bro.
It is a good shout.
Yeah.
Go
on, mate.
The best thing about bringing in this lad who clearly does play at left back and does it to quite a decent standard by the sounds of it. I've not seen much of him, but we can move Pascal inside to left centre back. That's the best bit about all this, because the kid is our best defender at the club and we're playing our best defender out of position. Coops, fantastic captain. He's been great through the years. I don't want him sold, but he should still be around the club as backup. But Pascal should be our starting left centre-back for this football club and build a partnership, whether that's with Robin Koch or we bring in another right-sided centre-back, whatever it may be. Let's start building a bloody centre-back partnership that's going to have a bit of longevity to it and learn each other's game. Because at the minute, it's just we've got Pascal hanging around the left, like you say, getting nosebleeds and panicking when he gets up by the opposition's penalty area. And he's our best defender. It's mental.
I think you bang on, mate. There is a lot to be said for continuity, isn't there? You then have Rasmus, you have Koch, you have Strauch, you have Wöber. You're settled. Yeah. It's settled. I said in my preview earlier, and it's mad of me because I do like him, but I think Cooper gets dropped tomorrow. I think he plays Llorente and Koch. I was surprised for Cooper to come off, and I think Cooper gets dropped. And I think with that hospital pass, and I do think Koch was also culpable in that, by the way.
Yeah, both of them,
But I think there's a case that we might see the end. What do you reckon to that, folks? Will Llorente start against Newcastle?
I can't wait. I cannot wait to see Llorente coming out trying to intercept a ball that's pinged into Chris Wood's feet. Chris Wood drops it off around the corner and they score by the gap that he leaves behind. It's just... my knees are knackered. I am shit. I would like to play against Llorente because he's so easy to play against.
Do you know what it is, mate? Is you took me on the high of, I think Coops will get dropped, and then said, and Llorente will come in. I'm like, oh God, Jesus. I mean, it's just out of the frying pan into the fire. And actually, no, that's rude. That's actually disrespectful to Coops, is that, for me to compare the two. Llorente is a whole different level of bad. Coops, I think it's more a concentration thing, and the fact he looks like he's running in treacle. Bless him. He hasn't got the pace for the Premier League, but...
Joe, sorry, I've got to jump in. This is why I don't do a podcast anymore. let's see how he does, but his pedigree doesn't look great. Based on what?
But also, mate, look at the clubs, though. That's why I brought it up. That's decent pedigree for me. Do you know what I mean?
24 years old, captain of RB Salzburg, so he's got something about him, clearly. Left-footed, left back.
Yeah.
He appears to be a set-piece taker, from what I can see.
Mm-hmm.
He plays for his country, granted it's Austria. I find it really difficult to get. Let's see what he's like when he comes in. Like, how can people judge his pedigree? Like, tell me who's watched a game with him playing a full game in.
He's moved around to find one as well.
What's that? Sorry.
He's moved around for good money as well. He's not gone around for pennies, has he?
Yeah. No, exactly. Bully B, don't speak about my guy like that. You know I'm a big fan of Harry Maguire's, man. You know that. I'd take him at Leeds any day of the week. I like Harry Maguire. I'm sorry. I do.
I'll take him at Leeds just so I could give him absolute pelters every second week at the road.
Yeah, I think he's good. Listen, boys, I want to thank. We've done an hour. I don't want to bore everyone to tears, but I've really enjoyed this show. It's been really good, and I think the people watching have as well. So hopefully we'll get together more often. I know people miss Gaz, and I know you all like Chris's takes, and I really like Chris's takes. So unless. However, when he digs out Bielsa, then I have to go. No, I have to fast forward. I have to fast forward that bit.
I remember that. I remember doing my stream where I eventually went, I think it's time for change, and my phone lit up, and I was like, oh yeah, that's Joe.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, man. I was going to say what you're doing, guys, but you're not doing what I am, mate. I mean, maybe
I'm not, mate. No, I'm just doing the day job that pays the money and
on
being
calendar.
a dad. And...
I seen you on calendar when people...
Oh yeah, mate. I had a dip on calendar. Yeah, I got my phone a bit like Chris. My phone lit up after calendar. I got multiple. It's true what they say though, that TV puts £10 on you because wow, my head's like a sniper's dream. But yeah, other than that, mate, not doing much. Obviously, I've dropped back into Twitter just to keep a track on the non-existent transfer rumours. And yeah, other than that, yeah, all good.
Yeah. And Chris, what about yourself over on the All Leeds TV?
People will always find me post-match, mate. That's where I tend to, because people have said about this, and like you said, I need a therapy session after watching this club. Yeah. And that's why I go live straight after a game, because I feel like I can just blart it all out and go to sleep a bit calmer, rather than just sitting there and being angry. So that's where you'll find me. Obviously, the rest of the gang are on doing their thing as well. So it's all good, mate. All busy. It's nice to be back, sort of.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, sort of, exactly. Like, mate, the World Cup, right? We had that friendly Elche, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
I know, I saw you rapping on Twitter.
It was like we had, Elche was so bad. But listen, we move. Hopefully, we can get some positive results. Let's hope and pray, because we need to stay in this division, because the summer could be very, very exciting, depending on the takeover and stuff. So let's just hope we're in this division for it. But thanks, everyone. Guys.
Joe, sorry, mate, before you cut off, I've just seen a comment that I've got to react to. Ian Paveda has been at Chelsea, Arsenal, Barca, Brentford and Man City before he came to us. How many first-team appearances did he make for any of them clubs?
Yeah, no.
I had a trial at Leeds. It don't mean I'm going to play in 6 weeks' time.
Yeah.
Let's not be silly.
Yeah, not true. And where is he now? Is he Blackburn?
Blackpool.
There you go. I actually called Somerville Jan Paveda 2.0. That's got to be my worst take ever. Everyone always reminds me of it, so I have to lean into it. So I'm aware. Yeah. But what I will say, I don't get the clamour for Cody. I'm sorry, I don't. He's got a very good agent. He's gone from being linked to Dortmund to now Burnley and Watford. So, you know what I mean? I wonder what's happening there, but we'll see. But I don't know. Anyway, that'll start off a whole new conversation. Thanks for watching in. Check out Gaz on Twitter. Check out Chris on All Leeds TV on Twitter. He's also on Twitter now. That's a new one. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow at about 2 p.m. for Leeds taking on Newcastle. Thanks, everyone, and have a nice evening. I nearly left the stream then and not ended it. Thank you.